Kami, at FedEx, explain to me what you've been able to do in terms of interventions that have in fact challenged the status quo and have made a positive impact.
Sure, thanks, Shereen.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, diversity overall and gender diversity in particular is very strategic for us at FedEx. And if you think about all the supply chain disruptions that we've seen over the last 3 years, the topic has now become a boardroom conversation. And in India particularly, we're seeing a big push towards businesses setting up manufacturing and exports here, the whole technology and innovation ecosystem, talent from India serving global enterprises and so forth. So I think there's a real opportunity in logistics for us to connect the dots. And to connect the dots, you need a diverse leadership team. In logistics and transportation, it's been a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
So there's, whether you're talking about frontline workers or women leaders, we've not seen that many examples. And even customers and buyers have been mostly men. But I think that's changing. That's changing, and the pace of that change needs to accelerate. At FedEx particularly, innovation and collaboration are how we function and succeed. And I think for true collaboration, you need to be able to leverage inclusion. And not just diversity and representation, but also bringing those voices in and really true inclusion. So when we think about how do we increase women in leadership, we think about the entire pipeline. So we have to start with where it begins, which is increasing the pool of women candidates applying for jobs. And I think there, a lot of our focus has been around describing what career pathways could look like in this industry. So stereotypes are removed from the equation. And even the equal opportunity statement, we make a big deal about that. And I think it's important to keep reinforcing that message when we recruit. And I think the other major fall-off point for women is in the mid-management, like you alluded to. And I think there, again, talking about customized career paths for women who maybe want to create some degree of flexibility, but not have it seen as a career-limiting move when they come back, when they're ready to engage fully. And I think also building that environment where men and women leaders in the organization and team members are aware of their unconscious biases when they deal with these situations. And providing that sense of mentorship and sponsorship for women to move into senior management. So I think both men and women leaders need to make bets on women. And I think that's what we try to encourage through these programs that we have of mentorship and male allies, so that we have more representation of women moving into senior management. The last thing I'd say is in terms of role modeling, and I think we have a lot of senior women leaders, and we kind of keep putting them in front of our teams to say that this is possible, and this is real, and this could be you. So I think those are the gamut of sort of interventions that we focus on. And for us, it's a journey. It's a journey. 33% of our board is women. In India, we have 25% in women in management. So there's more that we can do, and we're always striving to do.
Yes, it is a work in progress, as we've heard from pretty much everybody who's come on and spoken. But Hitendra, to the point that Ravi, Kami, and the ambassador as well as Anil were making, and I know that this is something that you're focusing on to ensure that you have a larger funnel at the very start. So you are looking at being able to tap female talent at schools and colleges, and that is going to be a big focus area for you at HSBC.
I think just before I go to answer your question directly, I think we are one of the most global companies in the world, and the board was in India just a couple of months back, and I think it's 50% of our board is women. And within that, they're from all kinds of nationalities. So you're getting diversity on the gender side, and you're getting diversity. So that's where it is starting at HSBC. I just wanted to make that point, right? And then it sort of flows through the executive management. But given the challenges sometimes, if you say, listen, 50% of your top executives need to be women, it becomes next to impossible because there's not enough candidates, and we spoke, it's not always possible. So almost all firms, I think Ravi mentioned about IT services, but it's equally true of banks, consulting companies, etc., are really saying, let's build that pipeline so that over the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, the challenge of today, which is there isn't enough senior women executives available, even if you just took a hard line stance that I will be 50-50 or whatever. So I think at the engineering colleges, but more particular in the MBA colleges, there is a race out there. Anybody who's gone recruiting personally, you see a woman, you just say, come here, come here, come here. So, you know, so we'll have to find a better way of doing it, because this can't be the way. But yes, the only way to do this at scale is to go younger. Right? Go to Lady Shri Ram College, go to Shri Ram College of, oh sorry, not Shri Ram College of Commerce, my apologies. Go to Stephens or wherever, I mean, these are the places. And you find, the other thing I would also say, right, this discussion, because obviously there were unconscious biases and the data says so and the facts say so, when we talk to younger people, actually speaking, this is very natural to them. So I think as we roll forward in time, the minds will be much more open. We won't have to go through discussions and you know what you have started wonderfully, which is having open, transparent conversations where this is coming into boardrooms and committees and so on and so forth. I think will become easier. I think the last point I would say is that every organization today, I'm sure everybody on this panel will agree, is trying to make sure that it is seen as an organization that wants to welcome women and will treat them in a manner which is, you know, to the word, it's not something you're doing as a favor to yourself. You're doing it because you know their participation in your workforce will result in better outcomes.
No, absolutely. And, you know, very quickly, Ravi, I want to understand from you, you know, now we're talking about living in an AI era and an AI age and so on and so forth. Do you believe that this is in fact going to provide a much more level playing field, or do you believe it's going to do the reverse?
In fact, Shereen, I wrote an article about how the age of AI is going to create a natural sponsorship for diversity and inclusivity. You know, since the Industrial Revolution, if you look at it, solving problems was the endeavor in workplaces. And there was only one cognitive diversity which got into workplaces because of solving problems. I think the cognitive diversity of workplaces will change because solving problems will be an endeavor of machines and people together, humans. Finding the next new problem is going to be a much bigger human endeavor. As that happens, you just don't hire engineers even into a tech services company. I mean, 40% of the code is going to be written by AI. You want to hire a much diverse cognitive diversity. That will lend by itself to more diversity in workplaces. And cognitive diversity means you need more women in workplaces. I mean, we are not doing it because it is just a moral imperative. We're doing it because it is a strategic imperative for the business. We build products and services. And we are a microcosm of the society. We want to be the microcosm. I mean, every enterprise wants to be a microcosm of the society. So you want to actually build products which will be good for good for consumption, which means it should be represented well. So AI, in some ways, will create that unique opportunity to create the diversity. Going back to what he said, which is you could go to Lady Shri Rams and hire. You could go to other non-technical disciplines and hire. The second I would say is the pivot to a virtual hybrid workplace is also a great way of actually building more diversity, because by choice you will get more women participating in the workplace because there is more. And I also believe that flexibility in workplaces is not in odds with productivity. If you have flexibility well designed and you are a good inclusive workplace, it will actually create much more diversity. So I actually think this is a unique opportunity for the world to pivot in a direction where diversity is much more natural, and you're not forcing it in. And that's why I'm actually super optimistic about where we would head to with AI around it.
That was the point that Dave was making as well. Anil, speaking of pivots, what's the next pivot for ITC? Very quickly.
Well, for ITC, I think as you spoke about diversity, is definitely one of our target areas, and all of us at the senior leadership are definitely promoting that entire culture and the environment to make sure. And I would agree with you and the other panelists as well. I think it's important to build the bank. It's important to create the right environment, because if you're looking at just a number that it has to be like that, it can't be like that. It has to be the entire culture, and you have to take it and do the entire movement right from the top. And that's what we are regularly focusing on, especially if the services industry, if you see, I think the warmth and the care and the love and the affection that lady employees bring, it's so critical in our jobs that you're able to encourage them and make them grow. And nothing gives me more joy than seeing a lady general manager who's grown up from the system, within the system. She joined us as a management trainee, and we made her grow as a general manager. And we look forward to giving her more opportunities that she can grow even higher and take on much more senior positions.
Well, Kami and gentlemen, we would have liked to continue this conversation, but we are running out of time. But I think what is instructive, ladies and gentlemen, from what we've heard from each of these leaders here today is that this is an opportunity. Use of technology is an opportunity. AI could, in fact, provide that much-needed level playing field. And targets are one thing, but creating an inclusive culture, creating a culture that nurtures, fosters, encourages inclusion and diversity, that takes time. It takes effort, and it takes commitment. Thank you for showing your commitment to the cause, and thank you for joining us here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our leaders here this evening. Thank you so much for your time.